Hi, I'm Arthur Haines, and I'm here to talk to you today about conservation of this fungus, chaga. People here in the United States, when the word conservation is put forth, they often think of a preserve where the plants, animals, and fungi are protected from human interaction. In other words, these are places where people are not allowed to hunt, gather plants and fungi for food, or gather things for medicinal preparations. The problem with this approach, and that we see here in the United States, is that we have a population who's largely unaware of how nutrient-rich wild foods are and how beneficial natural medicines can be for them that are free from the many side effects that they see in prescription medications. If people don't understand the true value of wild plants, animals, and fungi, then they simply will never cherish them. And if they don't cherish them, they will never protect them. Because think about it, you protect what you know and love. What I'm calling for is a change in the paradigm of how we view conservation in the United States. And in fact, it's only through the use of wild creatures that people will come to learn how important they are for their well-being. Now, unfortunately, without the traditional elders to pass on knowledge of the use of plants, animals, and fungi, we run into some problems. And one of those problems is the overexploitation of these resources. And that's unintentional. People are simply not always aware of the most conscientious ways to gather and use these particular organisms. What we need to do is to recognize that this haphazard way of learning this information through books, websites, pieces of information that you may get from your friends is unfortunately only passing on part of the knowledge, and we as instructors need to do a much better job of actually passing on the entire traditional wisdom, which includes how not to over-harvest these species. Now, my friend Daniel Vitalis has done a very good job providing a lot of information about chaga through other YouTube videos. He's discussed its ecology, in other words, what host trees it can be found on, different methods of preparing this fungus, and many of the benefits that it has when consumed as a beverage. It's inefficient use of your time for me to simply go through and explain that all again. So what I encourage you to do is to look for these videos that have been done by Daniel Vitalis on chaga. I'm simply going to take and look at some of the information that relates more to conservation in hoping that I can maybe change the way some of you are using this particular fungus in your lives. In front of you now is a small chaga that I collected from a mature yellow birch tree from the mountains of western Maine, which is near where I grew up as a child. Now, important to this discussion and the conservation of this species is an understanding of the different parts of chaga. What you're looking at now is the exterior portion, which looks sort of as a black, cracked crust. And occasionally you'll notice that there are sections of bark from the host tree that are incorporated into the exterior. If I turn this around, you can see the interior, which is this orange-yellow color and is much less brittle than the exterior. This interior portion is referred to as amadou by people who are interested in friction fires because it operates as a great coal extender. Now, know that the exterior of this fungus is very rich in terpenes, and these are bitter-tasting compounds that have a host of medicinal properties when consumed. The interior portion of this is rich in carbohydrates and have a very different function inside our body. Important to this whole discussion is a way that I frequently see this fungus prepared as a medicinal tea by people's homes that I visit. This fungus is typically broken down into small pieces through cutting, grinding, pounding, or by whatever method people have access to, and those smaller particles are placed in water and then boiled for a period of time. It's important that you know that we do need to boil this. The high temperatures are necessary to liberate the mycochemicals that are responsible for the therapeutic benefit that we observe. But unfortunately, many people take this fungus whole as it's been removed from the tree and set it in a pot of water and allow it to simmer away for a long period of time, whether that's inside on the cook stove or outside on an open fire. And unfortunately, this particular way of producing chaga medicine misses the mark in several critical ways. Now, back here examining our piece of chaga, remembering that there are different mycochemicals present in the different parts of the chaga fungus, they're each responsible for different therapeutic actions. We're looking at the black exterior now, and remember that that is rich in terpenes as well. There have been some phenolic compounds that have been identified. And this portion of the fungus imparts anti-inflammatory action, an antimicrobial action with activity against bacteria. It is an antioxidant, so it scavenges free radicals that would be damaging to our DNA, to cells, and to the interior of our blood vessels. And this portion has many anti-neoplastic compounds, meaning it works directly against cancer. The interior, which is rich in carbohydrates called glucans, has slightly different properties. It too is antioxidant, but it has been shown to have higher antioxidant activity than the exterior in some studies. As well, the glucans found in this orange-brown interior are immune stimulating and responsible for a host of therapeutic benefits. These including stimulating natural killer cells, activating macrophages that are responsible for engulfing dead cells, harmful pathogens. It also induces the maturation of T cells, which are responsible for the activation and maturation of other white blood cells. And as well, it stimulates the production of many other components of the immune system, including interferons, interleukins, and tumor necrosis factor. So if we rely on certain portions of this fungus, we will get different medicinal benefits. What I hope makes sense is that if you were to take an entire chaga fungus and to put it in a pot of boiling water for a period of time, that you would primarily be accessing only the terpenes, because it's only the black crust that's exposed to the solvent, which in this case is hot water. This does a few things. One, you don't get the highest antioxidant part of the chaga sclerotium. As well, you really miss out on most of the immune stimulating effects, which is one of the main reasons why people utilize this fungus. Also, because the terpenes are not as mild tasting as the interior, but tend to present a much more bitter flavor, you get a medicine that doesn't taste anywhere near as nice as it can. Again, my friend Daniel Vitalis has some great recipes where this fungus is combined with cacao and cream to make a medicinal beverage that even those who are most unaccustomed to the flavors that natural medicines present would be very happy to consume it. But most important, this entire sclerotium will provide medicine for me for the entire winter season, because it requires extremely small amounts per unit volume of water. And when we place this entire fungus in a pot of water, we end up exhausting the exterior within a couple of weeks' time. So we waste the resource. Remember, there's enough medicine here to last an entire winter season for 1 or 2 people. So it's an extremely wasteful and inefficient way to use that when we cook it entire.